gave people some time to join us here today. So just want to start off by introducing myself. My name is Megan McKay. I am a content strategy lead here at Litify, sitting on our wonderful, brilliant sales and marketing team. We're here today to talk to you guys about how you can give back during this time. We've got a Letters of Love event that we're working with a nonprofit on doing internally at Litify. We have some employees here today to tell you about what they're doing at Litify and also personally to give back during this time to their communities and their local places. And we have Jeff Dobrinsky here with us from Good Today to talk to us about their subscription-based tool and some other ways you can give back. We've got some exciting questions to ask him, and we'd like to open it up to the audience to ask questions as well. Right now we're streaming live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and live on our LitiCast hub at litify.com/LitiCast. You can also, on our LitiCast stream page, you can see a link for our Slack community. We started this community to cover industry news, marketing trends, job opportunities, and just open it up for a network opportunity for those of you out there interested in kind of maintaining your networking strategy, even during this time when live events are definitely at a minimum or non-existent, to correct myself. And I'll pass it over to our guests here today. I'll start with our internal employees at Litify to introduce themselves. Just a brief, your first name, last name as well, and what you do here at Litify, and we'll give you guys an opportunity to dive in a little bit more throughout the session. I'll kick it over to Brian.
Hey, thanks, Megan. Hey, I'm Brian LaRocque. I'm the CFO with Litify, and really happy to be here today.
Awesome. Over to you, Blake.
Thanks so much, Megan. Echoing Brian, I'm Blake Winkler, one of the solution engineers here at Litify. Excited to be here to talk about something that all of us are so very passionate about.
Awesome. And over to you, Ellie.
Hi, guys. Thanks, Megan. I'm Ellie Fitzgerald. I'm a customer success manager at Litify. And yeah, super excited to be here. This is a great chat.
Sweet. And Catherine and our special guest.
Hey everyone, I'm Catherine. I'm the Director of People Operations. And this is my 3-year-old who's joining us today. Her name's Emily. She wants everyone to know.
Super excited to have you both. And then Jeff, we'll have you introduce yourself as well, our special guest from Good Today.
Hey Emily, I'm Litify team. Jeff from Good Today here. I'm the Executive Director over here. And I'm sure everyone that's been with Litify for a little bit is familiar with a bit about what we do, but more than anything, excited to hear a little bit about what the Litify team's been up to during this trying time.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. And thank you all for joining us one more time. So we wanted to first talk about today our Letters of Love initiative, which I briefly mentioned before. We're doing this actually within our company right now. We have several team members of ours joining together. It's a nonprofit organization called Love for the Elderly. Their mission is to bring joy into the lives of the elderly by inspiring people to connect with their elders and bridge kind of pre-existing age barriers throughout their projects. So today, we have a bunch of our team members gathering together in their homes individually with their families and writing letters to the elderly. And we had our HR team who was able to coordinate this from afar, which was pretty cool. So they mailed out everyone what they needed to be able to participate in this and be able to mail off their letters. So with that, I wanted to give our team members at Litify an opportunity to kind of share like what they're doing with this initiative. And then we also have so many impressive things going on internally in their personal lives that they're doing to help give back. So just wanted to give them a chance to share that as well, get some ideas generated for other people to be able to give back during this time. We'll start with you, Blake.
Excellent. Yeah, no, it just speaks to, how passionate Litify is for giving back, and that, we recognize that certainly we're trying to do so well with our technology, but giving back is so important to the community because it allows us to take our passions and find things, whether that we can set some time aside, like the HR team allowed us to do, and jump in and out of a Zoom meeting that we started off that I think is already even still going on right now, where we can write some letters to the elderly. Some of the things that I have here, and I definitely started on a rough draft before my actual letter goes out, but talking about things that we're doing during these times, such as, cooking and baking and playing a lot of board games. Just really trying to connect with them and allowing them to experience what's going on the outside world. So love that initiative that Litify has really encouraged all of its employees to be a part of, and hopefully just this small act of kindness really puts a smile on someone else's face. So have really enjoyed that, and so grateful for the Litify team who put that together. Something that volunteering is so important to us. One thing my wife and I do each spring, which is certainly disappointing that we aren't able to do it right now, is participate in the Miracle League. We've been doing that for the past 8 years, where we work with children who have developmental disabilities and play baseball with them each week. It's such a fun experience, and it's a shame we can't do that right now, but we can still support them in similar initiatives through donations, which is so helpful to their program, so they can push out materials and games and resources for those children. So that's been an incredible initiative. And then one other thing that I've been interested in is, because Litify is so tightly aligned to the Salesforce.org on the Litify.org side, is the Salesforce.org pro bono program, which allows certified Salesforce experts to be able to volunteer some of their time to the 30,000 plus Salesforce.org and Litify.org clients. So excited to kind of get my name in that hat, hoping that we can, with some time that we have on our own, can, provide some services, some admin techniques and consulting expertise, all pro bono, for all of the firms leveraging the Litify and/or Salesforce platform. So those are just a couple of things that I'm very passionate about, and was so excited to be able to talk about this today.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and thank you for sharing, Blake. I think it's so interesting too, because we have this blend of of course, with Jeff on from Good Today, but this blend of giving back and technology, which I think is really cool. And it kind of shows as well in your giving back is what you're doing personally. And it also ties its way into software in some way, shape, or form. And then also how you help your local community. So it's cool to be able to reach on that number of different levels. I think it's really awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
What about you, Ellie? I know you have some exciting things to share, participating in today's Letters of Love, and then also a really cool thing that you shared with us that you had launched with a friend.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm super excited to participate in the Love for the Elderly event. I mean, it's really cool. I created some art over here, trying to bring some color art into the life of the elderly. It's such a sweet piece right now, especially during this time, to do it in that way and reach out to elderly, some of the most vulnerable people that need it the most. And then in addition to that, there's so many other ways to really give back right now. There's a lot of opportunities in my community. Me and my friend are working on a peer-to-peer fundraiser campaign for our local food bank called the Comfort Food Community. Food banks right now need the support wherever they can get it. With unemployment rates really on the rise, it's really an important initiative to keep giving back. And I would just encourage people to look around for things that are meaningful to them to give back to. So this is an organization that works with my local community. It's very grassroots, and the funds go directly back into the community. So it's really cool to see that come full circle. And I think it's really meaningful when you can participate in something like that you feel really connected to. I think also it's cool that Litify is doing, they always do events like this with Litify.org, but I think right now a lot of people are looking to give where they can. So connecting those dots through initiatives like this is really important, and providing that to our employees, but also to your friends, and just sharing what you're doing is really important during this time.
I totally agree. And this is a perfect segue over into Catherine as well, because I think one thing I've noticed as a remote employee who's been a remote employee for the last 6 years, is that there's always been those ways and opportunities to give back when you have a corporate office, but you see a lot of it actually happening in the hub. So, I mean, remote people were always looking for a way that they can also participate and get involved in that. I think local communities was always one of those avenues that you could, but it's kind of neat to actually be able to participate in some of those things that might have otherwise happened just in-house at the corporate office, because now everyone's remote. And in order to do that, we have to get all of HR on board and all of the team on board to try and participate remotely. So I think it's pretty cool to have that.
Oh yeah, for sure. And Litify started as initially being Brooklyn-based for the first greater part of a year, and then we transitioned to being a half remote company. Megan's remote, Blake is remote, Brian, Ellie, and I work out of Brooklyn. And so as that progression happened, we had to be more open-minded about how we incorporated our team, to keep them engaged, collaborate, not only on the cultural side and ensuring everyone is still, they feel very much connected even though they're miles away, but also giving back. Because the most obvious ways to give back are in person and volunteering and actually just putting physical manual labor behind a lot of this. But now, as of a few months ago, it's how can we make sure that our remote team can participate. So the letters of love have been great. It's something that we can just easily do at home. Something else that I'm not personally part of, but my mom is actually. So my mom was diagnosed last year with stage 2 cancer. And she went through 2 rounds of radiation and chemo, and she was given the all clear in February of this year. So as she was kind of ramping up and trying to get her life back to normal and really just getting back out there, she was homebound for the 8 months that she was having treatment, except to go out to get treatment. And then COVID happened, so now she's stuck in the house. So how she's found a way to give back is she's a seamstress. We are here in Brooklyn, which is New York is one of the heaviest hit communities. And so she's kind of used her own skill set to create homemade fabric masks. So obviously not a comparison to medical grade PPE, but just anything helps, especially when there are things like price gouging and there's no supply, no quantity of anything. So just that's how she's been in her home in Brooklyn, in her basement at the sewing machine, just doing what she can on her part. And I know Brian's wife is also taking part. And then you also have this kid who just, I guess anytime you see her, she brings a little.
100%. It is so nice to see everybody's kids these days. I think it's awesome. I also think it's really cool, just to that point, Catherine, when she's shared her personal story with the team. And I think when we've seen that happen at Litify, everybody kind of bands together and they're like, hey, how can I help drive this initiative forward? Then we get other people from the team who are like, can I send fabric? Can I do this? How can we help make this that much bigger? Because even that impact is just, it goes so far. And I think it compounds when you share those stories. So I think that's really awesome. And now it's a great segue to turn it over to Brian. He is one of our executive directors, as he mentioned in the beginning. We're going to turn it over to him to kind of share a little bit about how we kind of handle, our charity events and initiatives here at Litify, and then kind of take us into our partnership with Good Today.
Sure. Thanks, Megan. Here at Litify, our mission continues championing charitable organizations, mainly that work in social justice and children's healthcare initiatives. We plan to support our charities with early next month with our partners, Caps for Kids, Lions for Children's Right, the Georgia Center for Child Advocacy, and Beyond Baton Disease Foundation, to talk about how they're coping with the crisis and how people can help. We will also will partake in the Pledge 1%, participate in the Giving Tuesday Now, which is a new global day for generosity and unity in response to COVID-19, which takes place on the 5th. And I also wanted to mention last year, we hosted 5 legal conferences throughout the country, which we call LitiQuest, which had hundreds of attendees for each conference. And at the conference, rather than hand out swag and free gifts to our attendees, we donated to local charities, providing them funding and additional exposure to the organizations. And lastly, we continue to work with our amazing partner, Good Today, not only with our daily giving initiatives with the company, but also working with them during this time to try to best serve our community at large. So with that, I'd like to turn that over to Jeff.
Awesome. And real quick, before we do that, Jeff, I just want to make a plug for the audience here. If you have any questions, comments, please throw them into the chat, and we will get to them here shortly after we talk through Good Today and meet Jeff here. But yeah, we would love to answer your questions, anything you have for Litify, what we're doing internally, personally, and also for Jeff at Good Today. I'm sure more questions will probably come through once we start chatting with Jeff. So
Awesome.
I'm going to put that plug out there.
Love it.
Perfect. Also, really quick, just to give a brief about Good Today, and then I'll just hand it over to Jeff and then start asking some questions to him. But Good Today is a subscription-based nonprofit that allows everyone to be a philanthropist for as little as 25 cents a day. The first and foremost thing that I wanted to ask Jeff that will also give you guys a little bit more detail about Good Today is sharing the original idea for Good Today and how it came about. So over to you, Jeff.
Absolutely. And I think the original story actually, rings doubly true today during, this time that we're, going through now. We started this when I was in college with a couple of friends back in 2013. And it kind of came out of this principle that me and my co-founders have learned ever since we were kids, which, is a principle, I think, from Maimonides. And he kind of poses this question, right? When tasked with giving, one bulk amount to one person, or piecing out your giving and kind of giving, smaller amounts to many different people, individually, it's better, to give the latter, right? And to give kind of many different, individual donations to many different people. And the reason for that being is not just because of the effect that you make on the end giver, but you're actually creating a positive habit internally, right? When you kind of spread out your giving and piece it to giving to a bunch of people that need. And that's kind of where we started, right? As wanting to create a platform for individuals like us at the time who didn't have the financial resources to give, didn't have the educational tools really to understand the important causes and charities that they may be passionate about, right? And really giving an opportunity to that community to really learn about causes and donate in a really seamless and frictionless way. So that's kind of how we started just one night, kind of put together this platform and an email campaign. And, now you guys receive it on Slack and everything like that. But just with the simple concept of, 3 core principles, right? So we always knew that choice was a very important element in giving, right? So when kind of I'm tasked with a charity, and Good Today builds from the top down, right? So different causes and then different charities kind of underneath that, then address them in a different way. We always knew that drawing a distinction between the different organizations is extremely important. Because when I'm kind of giving it to you as an individual, right, you kind of draw your different distinction and find which charity you connect with more personally. And then the second piece was making it really frictionless and really simple to donate, right? So as you guys know, just one click.
It is really simple and frictionless to donate.
In the Slack message, right? Just to make it, a small part of your morning and kind of bring that with you for the rest of the day.
No, I love that. You also made a good point at the start of what you were saying about like making it a mental habit, because I've actually noticed now the more that I give back through the product every single day, like now I actually, prior to 9 a.m., I think about it. I don't know if that happens to any of you guys, but it's like a trigger in my mind now. So even like on the weekends, I'm like, come 9 a.m., I'm like, oh, weird. I'm doing this habitually.
Love that. Well,
it's pretty awesome.
And what I kind of mentioned, why it rings doubly true today is, unfortunately, while we're all stuck at home and, like Blake mentioned, some of the volunteer opportunities that he does in person, that unfortunately we're not able to do at this time, there are other opportunities to support.
Right.
But I think, what's super important during these times, and when we think as, companies think of how to respond internally and externally, and we bring that down to the employee level, right? And you guys all think about what could I do right today to kind of support locally and, support those in needs. We don't have to go too grand with what we do, right? It's usually the small actions, right? And those really simple actions that are the most meaningful, whether it's, a call to an elderly or the notes that they were going to receive from you guys. Those are the most impactful and meaningful stuff, right? On a really human level.
Yeah, I totally agree. One question I have would be like in that regard is when it comes to engagement with the platform, like how have you seen the pandemic kind of impact engagement? Like in that regard, has it increased or, share
Yeah,
with
it's
us?
really interesting to see, right? Because something that Good Today has always prided itself on, and when we kind of go through this pandemic and think about how do companies kind of view their different vendor spend and what's operationally integral and what's really strongly internally adopted, right? We kind of really see Good Today as that second, right? And the adoption that we get internally from a daily engagement rate is truly amazing, right? And humbling to kind of see that companies like Litify and Shutterstock, that are hundreds and thousands of employees are giving 40+% a day, right? That has always been true on Good Today. And it's been great to kind of see that stays true during these times, right? We have seen a little bit of tick, right, in terms of, what we measure in terms of daily open and click rates. But what's more important to us are the stories that we're kind of hearing from the individuals, right?
Yeah.
We've been getting tons of reach outs for volunteer opportunities, right? Internally at Good Today, right? People looking to kind of help us. And one of the most important things that, kind of we get in all the emails that we get are suggestions on charities to feature, right?
Yeah.
And we actually have a form that I could send out after this as well, right?
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
That companies and employees have been kind of, suggesting charities that are important to them. And, everybody is trying to figure out how they could kind of utilize their resources for the best now, right?
Right.
And kind of on that motto of not going too big, whether it's, personally being able to mentor somebody or, give interview training to somebody that's looking for a job now. There's kind of just really small tasks that we can do to kind of, push that forward. And we've been seeing that, through, individuals reaching out, companies seeing how they can kind of just get more concrete with their giving, right? Whether it's, we donate to a different organization every day. So some companies have come and say, hey, let's scale that down and just support, a few organizations this month that are really heavily responding. And we kind of see that impact directly, right?
Yeah.
So as Good Today, we're just being open to, companies need to think about themselves also during this time, right? And there's a range of industries that are getting hit harder and some that are able to weather the storm more. But at the end of the day, Good Today is just really here to kind of support your organization's mission and how they want to view giving back, right? And kind of making an effort and impact during this time.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the individual level, I'm interested in knowing, has it surfaced a lot at all? I know we briefly touched on this when we connected earlier this week. But have you seen a spike in ideas or anything you can share with us and like our audience on how they might be able to volunteer or give back from home, aside from donating, using Good Today, like interested in generating some of those ideas for others as to what that they can do while they're stuck at home?
Absolutely. And, something we talked about, Megan, earlier was, incorporating more of these initiatives into the Good Today experience, right? So versus, where Good Today is this daily activation and daily experience, right? Really bringing that offline and allowing you to, kind of give in other ways, right? So we're continually working on, ways that we can kind of empower you to give in other ways, right? Besides your dollars, right?
Yeah.
And there are tons of ways now, personally, I've been a part of groups, right? Like the Meals on Wheels, right? Volunteering, where you do have to go out of your house, right? To kind of do the grocery shopping and delivering there, right? But I'm also part of a group that's doing calls to the elderly for 5 minutes once a week, right? And kind of like I talked about before, right? Those are all through individual initiatives, by the way, right?
Yeah.
So the coolest thing about this is kind of seeing like individuals rally, right? And kind of building their own, little cohorts of do-gooders, right? And kind of leading by doing good, right?
Right.
So you see like the companies like Flexport, right? And now Fanatics kind of doing this all-in challenge, right? That are kind of trying to rally bigger communities. But I'm also part of smaller communities and I'm getting text every day. Hey, some person in my hometown, an elderly person needs, Pedialyte or whatever it is, right? And, could somebody go quickly help, right? And kind of those small things, just kind of keeping your ear to the ground and being a part of as many smaller communities on a really localized basis as possible, are kind of all the things that you could plug into.
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to companies, I know that you guys have, work with a wide array of companies. all over the map. And then there are also several that are looking for ways that they can get into this kind of thing, or looking for ways that they as a company can give back. I'm sure that there are others that don't also have that kind of initiative internally yet, or it's not something that they've started thinking about. What would you guys say to companies that don't necessarily think that there's a business case for philanthropy at all?
Yeah, great question. I mean, listen, this, kind of this pandemic has, unfortunately, or, at this point, kind of put brands, in the limelight and figuring out how they're responding to this, right? Internally and externally, kind of to their audience. And it's always been important, and kind of this is the value that Good Today feels that they bring to companies, right? Is kind of filling this gap in the cultural area, right? Where giving, right, and all of kind of these ancillary initiatives that companies may do usually come from a top-down approach, right? And we really want to say, hey, the employee and the employee and the individual team member here is the person that should be leading, right? And people, are going to be looking. I mean, tons of people are looking, unfortunately, for new opportunities now. And when tasked with a company, right, that is kind of just, business as usual, shut the computer at 5 o'clock and go home, right? Versus a company that kind of really embeds this neat cultural element into the community, right? And enhances employee engagement through these different tools, right? Those are the companies that are really going to attract the top talent and eventually kind of affect the bottom line, right? So while there isn't a direct one-to-one correlation where Good Today is a platform that is increasing revenue for a company or anything like that, right? There's tons of value coming out of this to really kind of think about your brand strategy and how you voice, your internal culture and your external voice to your audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. We do actually have a couple questions coming in from the audience, and would like to make another plug to throw any questions you have in the comments while we still have Jeff here.
Great.
Michael Green asks, we've been giving back using the B1G1 platform. How does this compare to the other platforms like Good Today?
The B1G1, I don't know how familiar I am with that.
You know what? I'm actually not super familiar with it either.
I'm going to look it up real quick, though, and try to give you an answer because I like it.
Yeah, that's good. Buy one, give one. I thought that's what that stood for.
Okay. Buy one, get one. Gotcha. Nice acronym. I like that. Listen, so Good Today, right, from a company perspective, as you know, at Litify, right, Litify is actually sponsors, right, each individual's contributions, right? And we started as an individual facing kind of subscription offering, right? But really found that companies, especially during this time, right, really need a lead, by kind of putting their foot forward, right? And we frame the daily Good Today choice, right, and the activation and the engagement that you have on a daily basis with it as being something that, kind of is a use it or lose it, right? So I get this email every morning and I'm either donating 25 cents, through Litify, or Litify is kind of keeping that 25 cents for the next day for me, right? And it's kind of this area where, I'm able to kind of lead, right, with my own voice and kind of say, as a company, this is what's important to me, right? Because we always encourage individuals to go in, and we by no means see Good Today as the, end all kind of strategy for an individual to give back. We include, how to give more and, learn more kind of links in all of our content, right? Because we find that it's super important that while as a company, you're kind of creating, this voice, right, for your employees to kind of engage every day. When you bring that down to the individual level, right, it's important to double down as well. And that's where kind of buy one, get one, right, initiatives in general, right, are kind of valuable, right? Because it kind of pays it forward in a certain sense and says, hey, I'm doing good. Now kind of you do good, right, on top of that. And that's to a certain sense what Good Today is also doing, right? And saying, hey, I'm giving you your 25 cents today, but now go take that certain habit and that good deed and kind of bring it with you for the rest of the day. Even if it's not in a, financially, donation for that capacity.
Yeah, absolutely. I will also send out to our audience, everyone participating today, how you can learn more about Good Today. Jeff, do you want to share with us the best way to kind of reach out, learn a little bit more? Is there any particular content that's the best to go to just really get an idea of what Good Today is all about?
Yeah, so you could, always go to goodtoday.org and kind of check out some of our past charities, that we featured and kind of sign up as an individual or company, I'm always happy to connect with individuals that are interested to learn more or have suggestions on ways that we can improve and feature, more organizations and do more impact, right? So you could reach out directly to me as well at jeff@goodtoday.org.
Awesome. I love it. So like I said, I will update the audience on where they can find all this information that we've covered. We would love it if you would follow us on LinkedIn, subscribe on YouTube. You can also find this video recording on our website at www.litify.com/LitiCast. I want to thank our guests for joining us today. This is so awesome. We're super excited to be doing Letters of Love today internally at Litify. Super happy to have you on, Jeff. And thank you all for your contributions and the things that you're doing personally as well to give back to the community. It's really awesome.
Thanks so much. Keep up the good work at Litify. You guys are doing awesome.
Thanks, guys. All right, we'll talk to y'all soon.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, bye.